Welcome to Stavanger, a captivating city located on the southwestern coast of Norway, renowned for its rich history, vibrant cultural scene, and breathtaking natural landscapes. Stavanger seamlessly blends tradition with modernity. In the 20th century, Stavanger grew as a cruise ship port and transformed into the heart of Norway's oil industry. The Norwegian Petroleum Museum stands as a testament to this pivotal role. Its unique combination of historical charm, economic significance, cultural richness, and natural beauty makes it a must-visit destination in Norway. Stavanger Airport at nearby Sola was the scene for the Sola International Airshow on the 15th and 16th June 2024. This prestigious international event drew thousands to admire the marvel of aviation to the show. Visitors were encouraged to have a seat in most of the static aircraft, which included some airframes from the nearby Sola Aviation History Museum, alongside more modern aircraft. Queuing was very much the order of the day, not only to get on board some of the aircraft, but also at the far too few catering stands. Sola is also an international airport and an operating hub for Bristow helicopters and the Norwegian Defence Forces, in the past with Sea King helicopters, and nowadays with the AW-101. No doubt the biggest stars of the static park were the NATO C-17 Globemaster III and the United States Air Force KC-135 aerial refueling aircraft over from Mildenhall in the UK. Of course, being a busy international airport also meant displays had to fit in between airport operations, which included airliners, flying tourists, and workers to all corners of Europe, and helicopters operating from the airport.
Og på samme måte så er det viktig å få varmet opp motoren ordentlig når man skal i luften og fly med forbindelse. Var du og fløy fra Storbritannia og skulle inn til kontinentet, så hadde du transittid over.
The show faced some very unseasonal weather and suffered from very blustery conditions, feeling more like late October than mid-June. And this had an impact on some of the lighter participants that were due to appear in the morning program. You can also see the camera and its operator struggling with the relentless strong winds at the show throughout this video. On Saturday, this Stearman biplane trainer from the Second World War, stationed at Bergen, braved the conditions. It arrived in Norway back in 2018 and is one of about 600 remaining airworthy Stearman in the world. The Norwegian Spitfire Foundation operates a T-6 Harvard, which is the same type that many Norwegian pilots flew as part of their training during the Second World War, especially those trained in Canada. The Harvard was also in service as a training aircraft in Norway for a period after the war, mainly at the flight school at Gardermoen. In 1955, advanced pilot training was moved to Canada, and the Harvard was phased out of the Norwegian Air Force. This particular North American Harvard, registered LNTEX, was built under license by Norwegian Aviation in Canada in 1944 as a Harvard Mark II. The aircraft served in the Royal Air Force, the Belgian, Portuguese, and German Air Forces. In 1979, the aircraft was taken over by Scandinavian Historic Flight as the first vintage aircraft imported to Norway and was painted in the USAAF silver color scheme. It is now based at Kjeller Airport. This original German Luftwaffe machine with the designation Fiesler Stork FI-156-1 came to Sola in August 2016 and is now finally on the Norwegian register. The Stork was designed with the main focus on liaison and evacuation of the wounded. The aircraft has fantastic short takeoff and landing characteristics. After the Second World War, some of the German Storks remained in Norwegian Air Force service until 1954. For a short while in 2019, there was even a Norwegian-led initiative to start a display team with several Storks based around Europe, but these plans didn't materialize. The three aircraft you just saw remained on the ground on Sunday morning due to even stronger crosswinds than on Saturday, but the Russian-designed Yak-52 was undeterred. The Yak-52 is a Soviet-era aerobatic training aircraft that had its first flight in 1976. The aircraft was produced in Romania from 1977 to 1998 by Aerostar. The aircraft is still actively used today in several places around the world in connection with competitions and air shows. At Sola, it was presented by Atle Inge Andersen of the Sola Flystation Fly Club. It is a rare treat to see a Yak-52 in action at a European air show nowadays.
Og for hver enkelt øvelse han gjør, så det i likhet med de andre flyene, altså både tradisjonelle jagerflyene for hver øvelse han gjør, så sjekker de at startparametrene stemmer. Da var den riktige høyde, altså den høyde du trenger for å få riktig hastighet. Det var at du tar den maskinen og gjør det. Hvordan ligger du an i forhold til sikkerhetsstillingen på bakken og publikumsstillingen, og ikke minst det dynamiske i forhold til bandet som gir inntrykk.
It may look light, but this Velis Electro still managed to display in the very strong Sunday crosswinds. Perhaps the heavy weight of the batteries has something to do with it, because this is an electric aircraft. In fact, it is the first electric aircraft to receive an ESA certificate. Here we see a UH-1E in US Marine colors, flown by Stig Bakker, wearing the colors it had during the Vietnam War from 1967 to 1970. After 10 years of storage at the Arizona Air Force Base, it was turned over to the San Diego Sheriff Department, where it was used to monitor the Mexican border. After 2 years, it had several sporadic owners before it was transported to Sweden. Later, it was acquired by Stig Bakker, who developed a new tool and equipment fleet for the Norwegian oil industry. From being a modest garage business, he was left with a profit of 100 million Norwegian crowns for his share in Bakker Oil Tools when he sold his life's work in 2002. On Saturday, NATO's strategic airlift capacity demonstrated this C-17. 3 of these giants of the air are based at Papa Air Force Base in Hungary, and they are part of a multinational unit, with participating countries each paying for their share of flight hours. Norway is part of this international cooperation, together with countries like the Netherlands, Finland, Poland, Romania, and several others. After its demonstration, the C-17 landed and took center stage in the static park. Also, a Saturday exclusive was this heritage flight, featuring the Biltema Spitfire, 2 Vampires of the Norwegian Historical Squadron, and the Danish Air Force's F-16 solo display aircraft.
Flyr ekstremt tett og sånne ting, og det folk som gjør det profesjonelt hele tiden.
Her kommer det igjen.
Men selv der så vil man se det at de har små justeringer hele tiden. Fra venstre og til høyre.
Ta bildet. Følg med.
Following on from the heritage flight, the Norwegian Historical Squadron presented their single-seat Vampire FB-52 and twin-seat Vampire T-55 in a neat formation display. 36 single-seat and 6 twin seats were exported to Norway, where they flew from 1949 until 1957. The flight operates out of Rygge Airfield, just south of Oslo. Biltema Airshow was started by founder Sten Åke Lindholm. Here we see them starting their display with a couple of formation passes by their Spitfire and Mustang. Biltema's Spitfire is the LF Mark 16E version, which is almost identical to the most legendary version, Mark 9, and it was built at Castle Bromwich in 1945. The aircraft was completed at the end of the Second World War and was therefore never used in war. It was mothballed until 1949 and only saw 3 years of active service before it was decommissioned again in 1952. It arrived in Sweden in 2005 where it underwent a massive 2-year restoration. Just like the Spitfire, the North American P-51D Mustang also relied on the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine. Biltema's Mustang was manufactured in 1944, and unfortunately, not much is documented of its early history. During the 1960s, a large number were exported to South America, and this Mustang was delivered to the Salvadorian Air Force in 1968, just before the so-called football war broke out between El Salvador and Honduras. The aircraft returned to the United States in 1974 and was eventually refurbished and returned to service in 1998. 9 years later, the aircraft was purchased as the first aircraft to be part of the Biltema Airshow and based at Ängelholm. This aircraft is a Polish-built SBL-IM-2 or MiG-15 UTI, produced in Poland in 1952. The aircraft is operated by the Norwegian Air Force Historical Squadron as a representative of the Cold War enemy. When it left Polish service in 1990, the aircraft was exported to the USA. It returned to Europe in the summer of 2014. Given the shared border between northeastern Norway and Russia, and the many encounters between Royal Norwegian Air Force and Soviet aircraft during the Cold War, the Polish MiG is an appropriate addition to the Norwegian Air Force Historical Squadron. The aircraft is painted in United States Air Force colors, in memory of a North Korean pilot who defected in 1953. After the aircraft was transferred to Kadena in Japan, it received these markings, though the aircraft it represents was in fact a single-seater. Diving in from above, the Danish F-16 solo display, the Danebrog 2, flown by Theo just like in recent years. Danish F-16s are very much in the twilight of their operational service, their operational tasks taken over by the 5th generation F-35 Lightning II, just like in Norway. The main task remaining for Danish F-16s is the training of Ukrainian Air Force pilots in preparation for their operational use in the defensive war against Russia in the latter half of 2024, protecting the Ukrainian airspace and territory. Many of those F-16s headed to Ukraine will actually be former Danish Air Force aircraft. The Danish F-16 solo display also makes use of flares, which are used in combat to defend against heat-seeking missiles. But here, they serve a purely visual purpose. Although it is a little unexpected to see flares fired over a runway also used by civilian airliners mere minutes later.
Det kommer an på situasjonen på seg.
Another foreign solo fighter display. Here we see Lika presenting the Swedish Air Force Saab JAS-39 Gripen, the sharp end of the Swedish Air Force. And since Sweden joined NATO, it is very much at the heart to NATO's defense. The Gripen's versatility and ease of use from remote locations has also attracted the interest of the Ukrainian military. But so far, there is no agreement yet to deliver the Saab JAS-39 to them. In Europe, it is also in use with the Czech and Hungarian air forces, who lease their aircraft from Sweden. Making its penultimate foreign appearance was the Swedish Air Force's Saab Sk60, also known as the Saab 105. It was designed as a training aircraft with side-by-side seating, but could also be used for light attack and liaison tasks, particularly in its 4-seat configuration. It was also intended for use as a business jet, very much like the Marin Solnier MS-760 Pari. It replaced the de Havilland Vampire with the Swedish Air Force. The grace and precision of this demonstration earned the demo pilot, call sign Princess, the award for Best Overall Flying Display at the Royal International Air Tattoo 2023. It was also in use by the Swedish Air Force Team 60 display team. 3 of the Swedish Air Force's Sk60s will be handed over to the Swedish Air Force Historic Flight to join their impressive fleet of flying classic aircraft. Apart from Sweden, the Saab 105 also served in the Austrian Air Force. The Swedish Sk60s will be replaced by the Grob 120 as an interim measure, but it is likely a more advanced training aircraft will enter Swedish service later on, such as the PC-21 or the Saab Red Hawk. The Norwegian Air Force also took part in the flying display. Here we see their display team, Yellow Sparrows, in action, flying 6 Saab T-17 Safaris. These aircraft are used for initial pilot training and are based at Bardufoss.
Ser ut til venstre, det er svinge venstre og inn I en ny formasjon. Til å ta bilder av det. Som vi ser, det er litt vind som påvirker bakketrekket her.
Flight training is then continued in the United States as part of the Euro-NATO Joint Jet Pilot Training Program on T-38 after flying on these safaris for 25 hours. The pilots in the team are all instructors at the flight training school, and they present an elegant display with different formation passes.
Det var en arrow-formasjon, og da vil de svinge rundt og gå inn I en trail-formasjon, eller en kile litt høyest, og så stabler de resten til litt lavere bakover. Formasjonen her en opplevelse som man flyr meget nært til flyet, men som vi ser så det rikelig klaring fra fly til fly. Det blir en dart-formasjon. Vi ser altså det 3 bak som har slagt seg I en slags ploggformasjon eller en vikk.
And here, the team run in for their starburst break before each aircraft makes an individual pass prior to landing.
Det gjelder litt operasjonssikkerhet, det som ligger bak der.
Nå vinker vi.
Ja, nå kan vi vinke til Yellow Sparrows. Ja, der har vi hotdog og like å fly ut på skakke, så vi kan jo vinke litt spesielt til han brekker opp nå. Så jeg hadde jo stedet fyrt til båt og fyrt til hans steg.
Hotdog, han kommenterer veldig sterkt at han flytter ned litt egentlig, men han foran oppsettsskapet. Men han faktisk beste for.
We stay with the Norwegian Air Force with this Augusta Westland AW-101 Merlin, or the SARqueen as it is called in Norway. It replaced the Sea Kings in Norwegian Air Force service since 2020. 16 of these heavy helicopters are in service in Norway. On 12th June 2017, Per Willy Amundsen, Minister of Justice and Public Security, announced the opening of Leonardo's AW-101 Norway Training Center at Stavanger Sola Air Station.
Så vi trener jo veldig mye på heising. Det der vi skal være veldig gode.
The training center includes an AW-101 full flight simulator, jointly developed by Leonardo and CAE, along with an AW-101 SARconsole training system linked to the flight simulator to provide rear cabin crew training.
Så det øvelsen som de gjør nå, det en koordinert øvelse.
The first training course at the center started prior to delivery of the first helicopters. The training center is used by both Norwegian and foreign AW-101 customers. The last Sea Kings were phased out in 2023, and the SARqueen is now fully operational.
Snakker redningsmann og flyger sammen i denne fasen her?
Ja, primært sett så det kommunikasjon innad i helikopteret, men redningsmann har trådløs koms som man kan prate med crewet på. Der nede nå skal han trekke max 4, og så skal han sette hasene nedover og komme seg opp.
Flyger i luftforsvaret, så det kanskje mange som drømmer om å fly jagerfly. Det må være en meningsfullt jobb å fly redningshelikopter.
For forhold på båten. Og som du ser så det jo et stort helikopter, men det relativt manøvrerbart. Veldig fin å fly.
The epitome of aerial excellence was shown by the French Air and Space Force during the Sola Airshow, thanks to their electrifying performance of the Rafale solo display. The Rafale is a formidable omni-role fighter jet renowned for its versatility and cutting-edge capabilities, not to mention jaw-dropping agility. Inside the aircraft is a host of cutting-edge avionics and sensors that enable to easily switch between mission profiles even during the same sortie, offering the pilot unrivaled options to counter any threat. Adding to the visual flair are the Rafale's gorgeous lines that even give it a degree of low observability, enhancing its already impressive combat capabilities. During this slow speed pass, one wonders whether we'll ever see the day an air show with modern combat aircraft will not play Kenny Loggins at some point or other. Flying the aircraft here is Mimoose from the airbase at Saint-Dizier, where he teaches future Rafale pilots to fly and fight in the aircraft as part of the operational conversion unit. It is his first season displaying the Rafale. His aircraft wears a gorgeous color scheme inspired by the French national colors to help celebrate the 90th anniversary of the French Air Force. Fresh from taking part in trooping the colours over London, the Royal Air Force Red Arrows flew over to Sola to close the show on Sunday afternoon. Problems with the layout of the display area, particularly the location of the passenger terminal inside the display box, meant the team decided to use an alternative display axis off to one side of the airfield, which was quite impractical for the spectators as they were forced into a small corner, which was located to one side of the Red's show center. The team were back to their full 9-ship display after a few difficult years plagued by scandals and maintenance issues, and they presented a masterclass of precision formation aerobatics to the enthusiastic crowd. Following Tornado, the 5-4 split made a welcome return in the routine after more than 20 years. The front 5 aircraft are known as Enid, named after Enid Blyton's famous 5 books, and the rear section are nowadays known as Hannah, after the legendary Ray Hannah, the first leader of the Red Arrows and later on a renowned warbird pilot. The second half of the display is also when the breathtaking crosses take place. the Sola Airshow provided a nice weekend out for those brave enough to face the strong winds and occasional rain showers during the show, and also provided a rare opportunity to watch some of the Norwegian military and civilian displays in action. It may not be the biggest air show on the calendar, but it provides plenty of variety and something a little different from what you may see elsewhere. We round off this report with this figure 60 to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Red Arrows and their final Vixen break.